The too long didn't watch version of this video. Night terrors can be prevented by placing a small bowl of vinegar and a small bowl of salt by your bedside. What is a night terror? What is hypnogogia? What is sleep paralysis? It's when you drift into semi-sleep and you hear stuff and see stuff. For instance, the hag, the shadow man, beings that I call impersonators, where they look like someone you know, but they're kind of wrong. I believe that these beings are not figments of your imagination, nor are they created by your mind, not alone anyway. As a former atheist, I used to think that this was also a real phenomenon because I've experienced night terrors for so long. I used to think it was interdimensional bleed. In fact, every culture in history except for ours recognizes night terrors and the beings that populate them and treats them as a real, legitimate spiritual problem. Our culture, of course, has little to no ability to even call this stuff real, but it exists. I started experiencing night terrors around the age of 4. I didn't tell my parents at that time because I really wasn't that kind of kid. And I knew that it was a version of reality that I shouldn't be seeing at the time. And like most people who experience night terrors, I thought I was awake. When I reached my teens, they got a whole lot worse, right around the times when my grandparents were dying. And as a result, I got into witchcraft, and I got into witchcraft for a lot of reasons, but one of my main ones was to actually get some help combating night terrors. Now, sadly, there really weren't the resources back then in the 80s that there are now as far as, good advice for getting into the occult. But nowadays it's a lot better. However, back then I was just kind of the blind leading the blind. I wasn't able to get rid of my night terrors at all. And then to make matters worse, I ended up on antidepressant drugs, and I did this by choice because I, had a very severe depression. But what that does in the case of night terrors, at least in mine, is it worsens them because it means that it's really easy to drop into that light, like napping state, that pre-sleep state where they happen. Without going into too much further explanation, because that's not this video, I guess I'll have to make future videos about what night terrors actually are. I just want to suggest that if you're suffering night terrors, first of all, they're real. And they are definitely not in your mind. You're going to be told that it has, there's no occult basis for it, that they're just all something that's in your imagination. No, they're not real, not essentially. They're created by yourself. That's BS. It's not, it actually does exist. These are beings from the astral realm that are trying to mess with you. And you're not mistaken. That's exactly what it is. It's like you're not sensing that these things are malicious for no reason. They are malicious towards you. Oftentimes they are demons. They're not always demons. However, they could be. And again, that's going to have to be subject for another video. But at any rate, ancient problems often call for ancient solutions, and one of those is vinegar. Why is that? The acetic acid in vinegar prevents the beings who would wish to mess with you. That prevents them from materializing. And they're not able to do that, semi-material form enough to assault you in your sleep. And it interferes with their bodies. But of course, us, it, doesn't really even smell. I mean, unless you absolutely can't stand the smell of vinegar, it's really okay. And you notice how vinegar is also used in a purifying context in my hoodoo bath video, and that's no coincidence. I mean, vinegar is pretty powerful stuff in natural magic. If you still have issues after you've put this vinegar and salt by your bed, and the salt, I forgot to mention the salt purifies the area as well. I mean, you don't need both. Honestly, it's the vinegar that does more, but the salt will help as well. If you still have issues after that, you should try hoodoo baths because they are going to cleanse your etheric body so that way you're not attracting so much gunk, when you go to sleep at night. And it's not pleasant. It's a cold bath, but hey, if it works, it works, right? And I would double dog dare any atheist who's like still watching this, who is like, no, that doesn't work. Well, I mean, hey, try it. If it stops you from having nasty, horrible night terrors, what do you have to lose? Seriously. Really, you just use the cheap white vinegar from any random store, Walmart, whatever. Just get the giant thing of vinegar and replace it when it evaporates, essentially. You can also let's say you find yourself in the midst of one of these nasty night terrors, and as we all know, you're conscious during it, and one can often see stuff in the room. I know that I always did. You might try calling on a deity, for instance, Jesus. I myself, I'm not Christian. I was raised that way, but I am definitely more, worshiping Celtic deities now. But you could call upon Jesus. He's been known to help out in these sort of situations. You can also maybe try calling on one of the saints, especially the Archangel Michael. He's also one who helps people with night terrors. You could try to call on the goddess in various forms, such as, say, Athena, Ellen, that's a druid goddess, or Bastet. If you receive help, obviously, in the demon, whoever's trying to attack you in your dreams, tries to, if you do receive help from an entity or a deity, definitely thank them in the form of prayer. Give some offering of incense or just some sort of heartfelt thanks. That's just common etiquette. We have to think of these things in terms of etiquette, just as we would with any human mentor or any human person who is helping us. Well, you want to also have etiquette towards the gods as well. And I hope I help someone with this. It's the reason I'm making these videos. Video is definitely not my favorite medium, as you can probably tell, but I hope I help you. This stuff works. It's that simple. You don't have to believe in it. It just works. All right. Take it easy and sweet dreams.